When you reach for an item on a store shelf, you probably assume you're making a careful, logical choice. We like to believe our purchasing decisions are based on a strict evaluation of a product's utility, its physical specifications, and our personal budget. If that were entirely true, we would never ignore an identical, cheaper generic item to buy an expensive name brand. And we certainly wouldn't buy something we don't need simply because it happens to be on sale. Consumer behavior is rarely a purely logical calculation. Instead, it is a psychological process governed by hidden internal drivers, our habits, social influences, and personal beliefs. Modern business strategies map out these exact internal processes. By thoroughly studying consumer perceptions, motivations, and underlying attitudes, marketers can design campaigns that speak directly to our hidden desires, rather than our wallets. We have two forces competing at the point of sale. The rational brain is trying to calculate features and long-term benefits, while the subconscious brain is easily swayed by emotional resonance and visual cues. Navigating modern commerce means looking past the physical products. It requires recognizing exactly how businesses bypass our logical defenses to target our psychology directly. Long before you ever flip over a tag to check a price, a brand has already initiated a silent dialogue with your subconscious mind. Companies deploy color psychology and carefully constructed visual identities to align their brand with your idealized self-image or the specific lifestyle you aspire to achieve. They pair these aesthetics with storytelling, creating emotional responses that are proven to influence purchasing decisions far more heavily than logical reasoning. This emotional messaging creates an instant feeling of trust. It builds the kind of deep, long-term brand loyalty that raw data cannot inspire. By engineering a profoundly positive emotional experience up front, brands effectively disarm your critical thinking. By the time you are holding the product, you are left vulnerable to the actual transaction. Eventually, the rational brain wakes back up. Once your subconscious has committed to wanting the item, your logical side steps in and demands a concrete justification to authorize spending the money. This is where businesses deploy psychological pricing. They provide the exact numerical justification you need. Anchoring on a pricing timeline establishes a high initial baseline, then reveals a discounted price beneath. Highlighting this physical gap tricks your brain into focusing on perceived savings. Also, isolating the first digit in a .99 price shows how your brain intuitively rounds down. These pricing strategies rarely reflect actual production costs. They are crafted mathematical illusions designed to make you feel like you successfully outsmarted the system. Every step of the purchasing journey is deliberate, from the specific hue of a logo to the emotional beat of a commercial, right down to the final decimal point on a price tag. You are walking along a well-designed psychological rail. Wielding this kind of knowledge carries inherent danger. Deploying psychological influence to actively bypass a person's rational thought closely borders on outright manipulation. Ethical business psychology, however, takes a different path. It relies on transparency and a deep respect for the consumer's autonomy. The most successful long-term organizations use these psychological insights to understand market demands rather than trick buyers. They foster genuine connections that deliver real, tangible value. For modern consumers, true power lies in understanding these internal triggers. Once you can identify the psychological mechanics at work, you transform from a passive target into an active, conscious participant.